There's material in here that I would like to reread and study for a little while. A lot of this is fresh. And I think it would be wise for us as a council to take this material home and look at it seriously and come back prepared to discuss it in a meaningful way and in a way that will take us to a conclusion with regards to this proposal. So if it's not too early, I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing until the second meeting in January. Or the first meeting, depending upon the content of the agenda. I leave it to the town clerk to prepare the agenda. She does a good job at doing that. So I would make that a motion.
I would do something that our solicitor will probably have a little problem with. I would second that motion, continuing upon Mr. Roderick's having a chance to make his comments because he's been very patient with it.
Thank you, Mr. Leonard. My comment is that, we've had discussions about the cost and what type of revenue is going to be generated. We've also had discussion regarding what interest we will be making on that money, which, from what I understand, both Mr. Lambert and Mr. Leonard had discussions with our treasurer. I too had asked our treasurer for our January meeting for a breakout of all our accounts to know what the interest is. And I feel that should be part of this process before we make a decision. Because as we know, the cost of closing the landfill is a moving target. And whether it's 6 million or 8 million, or it could be 10 million by the time we're ready to close it, we need to know what is our best way to raise these funds. I presently, even though I feel that it is an additional fee, if we want to use that word, I think taking that $168,000 that we presently put away and reducing that based on what we believe the income may be, I think could hurt us in the long run. That's only my personal opinion. I think that we have to have a basis of a guarantee, quote unquote, until we know how the program is going, and not over a 3 or 6 month period. It has to be over a long period of time. And then at some point in time, once we know that it's going to generate enough to facilitate the closing, then we can look at it and see where those funds can be put to better use.
But the 168,000 is still up to the discretion of the financial town meeting, and that's one of the issues we may run into.
Right.
If people are upset at the amount of money that the program generates and it's doing something to help, we can see them make that decision for us. So I think the discussion of 168 is kind of irrelevant. Because, I mean, it's something we assume we're going to continue to do, because DEM is going to make sure we're putting a substantial amount of money away toward landfill closure, and we generate it this way or that way. I don't think they're so concerned, but they are concerned with the number.
Can I make a comment on the cost of the bags before you close today's public hearing?
Yes, you may.
I kind of hit on something when Hannibal brought up the cost of the bags. I think the cost of the bags should be viewed from several different positions. I think the landfill committee did an excellent job with the whole thing, but I think additional viewpoints should be considered with respect to the cost of the bags. As a taxpayer, I look at the cost of the bags and, gee, I'd like to see it as low as possible. But then as I move around and look at it as somebody who wants to see the landfill fill up more slowly, I say, gee, let's raise the cost of the bags so that people think twice before they put something in the trash bag. Maybe if we made it $4 a bag, instead of thinking twice, they'd think 4 times before dropping something in the trash bag. Then I look at it as somebody from out of town who's paying a certain price on the bags. Let's say they're paying $2.50 a bag, and they've got their relatives in Tiverton. If you look at it from the cost of somebody who's paying $2.50 a bag, gee, if they buy the bags for Tiverton, then they can get it for $2 a bag. It's another viewpoint. So you almost have to look at it, go around the table and look at it, every 30 degrees before you come up with, gee, everybody's viewpoint. And then you have to balance that and weigh it. It's like nobody's viewpoint should be considered without looking at the other guy's viewpoint.
That's
Oh, I think we have to look at it. I don't believe Little Compton has a pay program for trash. I think they individually haul it away.
They pay for a sticker to use the transfer station.
Yeah, okay, they buy a sticker, Portsmouth buys a sticker for the transfer station, the same man, $150 or whatever a year. What's Westport's? No, there's no pay as you throw in Westport, so it isn't a dollar for dollar value bag. And I don't think Fall River has a pay as you throw program. So I don't see Fall River trash. I don't see the out of town trash. Right now, the only time you have out of town trash is this out of town commercial that may end up showing up here.
What about Middletown? I think they have trash bags.
They probably do, but Middletown is not to me, a bordering community where, you know, you're gonna come in.
Not that far away for somebody that looks at saving.
Well, you want to talk about it, Roger, if you want to look at costs like that, what it costs you for gasoline to drive from Middletown here, you didn't save the money, you're bringing me your trash. So I don't think if you're looking at trying to save a dollar, you're not doing it by coming from Middletown. So I'll take my surrounding communities when somebody may come through, and I don't see any of them as having an effect on what we should charge for back.
I mean, basically, there's always issues, no matter what we do. But obviously, this concept is one that needs to be implemented. I just hope to persuade people that some of that money that I think will generate a fair amount will be used to underwrite our current costs.
Right.
As an offset.
That's another viewpoint to look at it. You can look at it and say, well, if we reduce the amount that we take out of the taxes,
So I see at least.
and then pay it in terms of the bag, it will increase the recycling effort.
I see at least three competing efforts here, but they're all leading to there's going to be some form of pay as you throw. I think that's an inevitable. There's going to be some form of pay as you throw. I think we're just looking at some different ideas amongst the council as to how the program, the gears are going to mesh together to get this program running. And I think that's time because I'm sure, you know, we're all going to stop and think about it, you know. I think the issue of the elderly, the issue of, you know, how we're going to, I mean, I like to see a little more information about how we're going to put a low income or some program together like that. That would probably help me get over some of my odds, you know, about, you know, like I say, you know, if I'm already taxing you for it, I'll give you a bag, pay me for the rest of it. So I mean, that's just one.
But the low-income option does not get to my issue.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't about the. No. I'm also in partial agreement with your argument about if we're taxing somebody for something and then adding a fee to it, it's an additional tax. So do you get something back if this program generates enough money? So I think there are some issues here that we really need to look at.
I think you need a table or a chart, you know, with 6 different columns of pros and cons and kind of weigh it.
I think we have a motion to continue to the second meeting in January. That's the second.
And Mr. Rodriguez has.
Yes. So we have.
Could I just add one final?
Yes, you may.
Because I didn't really do too much talking, but I mentioned this once before, and I think it's incumbent upon us to look to see if there are any alternatives. We've got about 6 or 7 gravel pits working in this town, and the holes I hear are tremendous. I don't know whether this is true or not, but some thought of it given to, could we get a license to fill some of these holes with trash?
Animal, you're talking about money, you would have to put down a thermal layer. I mean, to even go through a licensing for a new landfill.
There's the cost of maintenance capping. Yeah,
Cynthia would have to be held hostage.
This costing cap is going to look like a drop in the bucket to what put another
Well, then
land.
are there any other alternatives? That's all. I would move the motion. I would move the question.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to continue this public hearing to the second meeting in January. No more discussion, all those in favor? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.